Topic you've chosen. Tourism as a catalyst to the growth of the Nigerian economy. You're right, it could be a catalyst. But I think we should look at domestic tourism and international tourism as one and the same. And we should look at the problems first to understand why Nigeria as a nation is not a great destination for tourists. That is a fact. Let us identify the problem and let us fix the problem. If you look at the history of Nigeria, from 60 to 66, we had relative peace. We had relative peace in this country. And then we had the first military coup, and then we had a civil war. And during the Civil War, that was not a good time for tourists. And then if you remember what led to the Civil War, Operation Wete in Lagos, Akintola and Awolowo, Lagos was on fire, Western Nigeria. The trouble in Nigeria always took place in Western Nigeria. That was the boiling point for Nigeria. All activities that changed governments in Nigeria always happened in the West, and Awolowo and Akintola and so on and so forth. And we had a coup, and then we had a military junta, multiple exchanges, and then we had relative peace when we had a civilian administration of Shehu Shagari, and and then Nigeria, I felt, because that was the era Silverbird was born between 80 and 83, and that was when I did the most work I ever did, and then the military struck again, and there we are. And then in 99, I felt that when the civilians came back in 99, Nigeria would truly change. And for a while it did, and now we have herdsman crisis and the difficulties and killings and murder and so on and so forth. And now we are disintegrating. And if you ask a tourist, any tourist, would you like to go spend a holiday in Afghanistan or Iraq or South Sudan? Most people would likely not be so enthusiastic. It's not a destination they want to go to. And the point I'm making is this. Your domestic policies impact on folks trying to come to your country. If you project a nation in trouble, the chances are a lot of people are not going to want to come visit you. Worse than that, the people who live in the country are not going to want to move from one part of the country to the other because of safety. Because all of a sudden you have a safety issue. And these are the things we must fix. And I look at my whole career. My whole career, prior to when I got into politics, has always been about tourism. Everything I've done in my life has always been about tourism because I brought international people into the country. In the 80s, that's what I did. I brought a lot of international people into the country. But in bringing them into the country, you have to understand the experiences I've had. I've had not too good experiences. In the early 80s, I brought a group to Nigeria. I'm not going to mention the name because whatever you say today is seen all over the world. And I was at home, and I lived across the street from Chief Mrs. Oprah Benson. She was my neighbor, and I used to admire her a lot in those days because she was the most beautiful woman in all of Africa. And she told me Tos Benson came to Liberia, and that was the first kidnapping in Africa, brought her back here. It was legitimate at the time. And we were neighbors. And then, so I was having lunch, and the group I had went to Sabo Market in Yaba. And when they got there, they saw, so let me tell you what happened. So I got a call. In those days, there were no mobile phones. And the group had been arrested. And this group had been nominated for a Grammy Award. And they had been arrested, and they were held behind the counter at the Yaba police station. When I was told, I ran out of the house and ran to the police station to say I was embarrassed, ashamed, had no idea what crime they had committed. I went to the DPO and I said, what did they do? They said, Mr. Bruce, let me tell you what they did. They took a picture of a strategic part of Lagos. They took a picture. So I went to the group and I said, tell me, what exactly did you do? They said, as they were driving in a bus, they saw a beautiful African woman with a basket on her head carrying fruits. And they said, and she was walking straight. They said in their country, in New York, you would have to go to modeling school to get a black woman to walk straight and have books on her head. And they found that so fascinating that in Africa, We don't need modeling schools. The women were so beautiful, so elegant, they carried a basket on their head, and they took a picture, and immediately they were arrested by the police. So there I was, trying to explain to the policeman that, you can't arrest someone. I said, what is so strategic about the Sabo market? That was a market. I don't know if you know Yaba. We all grew up in Yaba, so Sabo market. I said, what is so strategic about it that you arrest a group and embarrass them? You had no idea how long I spoke to them, convinced them not to go to the press, and expose us. Because how can I explain to an international group that you can get arrested for taking a picture? Now, so the first thing you do is this. When you're a tourist going to another country, people carry cameras. They take pictures. And if you arrest people taking pictures, you certainly cannot be inviting tourists. Another time, I was doing a beauty pageant. I was driving by Maryland. In my car was Miss America. Her name was Suzette Charles. Vanessa Williams had just been dethroned for taking pictures, nude pictures in Playboy magazine. So she had been dethroned, so I invited Suzette to Nigeria for one of my shows. So she was in my car and I was driving, and Suzette at the time was a singer, and she used to work with Frank Sinatra. And those of you old enough, Frank Sinatra was one of the biggest acts in the world in Vegas, with Dean Martin and Sammy Davis. So we stopped. A policeman stopped me. And the policeman greeted me, and I greeted him, and he greeted me, and I greeted him, and that went on for 15 minutes. And she was looking at me, looking at the policeman, and we were exchanging greetings. And I was not about to give the policeman a 5 naira note in front of a guest to my country. I felt, how could I explain that? When we go back to Vegas, he says, hey, Frank Sinatra, when I went to Africa, Ben Bruce gave 5 naira to a policeman. I couldn't do that. So he greeted me, I greeted him, we greeted each other for a long, long time. When we left, she said to me, Mr. Bruce, your policemen are very, very friendly. I said, yes. Now, I'm taking my time to explain all of this. See, you can roll out statistics about the benefits of tourism and how much it generates. That's easy. But you must understand the difficulties of bringing a guest to Nigeria and what you go through. The other day, I was on a boat at Takwa Bay. The owner of this hotel, his name is Shaguri, and I was with Jack. I was on a boat, Takwa Bay here. On the boat, as cruising 2 miles an hour, immigration boat saw us, moved very fast, started making announcements. I said to Jack, I'm going to back you, face the immigration guy. So the immigration guy pulled up the boat, stopped the boat, and said, who are you? Can I see your passport and your visa that you used to get into this country? You asking a guy who was born in Nigeria but happened to be light-skinned, asking him for his visa and his passport in Takwa Bay. So I turned around, he saw my face, he saluted me, and he drove off. You cannot promote tourism and start harassing people at the same time. Another time, some Americans went to Yankari Game Reserve. Just as they were driving in their Jeep, excited to be in Africa. They were arrested also, asking for their passports and their visa in Bauchi. Who carries a passport and his visa in Bauchi? And so the reason I'm saying all of this is so people understand the problems we have. If you go to Jamaica, there's a lot of crime in Kingston, plenty of crime, but they attack each other. They never attack foreigners. They never attack foreigners because they understand that foreigners bring dollars into the economy. So they fight each other, but foreigners are sacred. They don't bother you. You have a wonderful time in Jamaica. You have a wonderful time in Trinidad. They beat each other up, but they don't bother you. So to promote tourism, domestic or international, you have to fix the basic problems. To get a visa into the country, they'll tell you you have to go through an agency. Why do I have to go through an agency to get a visa? You pay for the agency, then you pay for the visa, then you pay when you get here. What says you have to decide, are you promoting tourism or you want to stop tourism You want to stop people coming into your country. And that is very fundamental. I have many, many stories. When we did the Miss World pageant, Bolaji Aṣíwájú Ahmed Tinubu called me and said, why did you do it in Abuja? You should have done it in Lagos. I sat down with Julia Morley, and we had to decide where to host the Miss World pageant. And I thought about it, agreed. It was my call, not hers. She said, what do you want? I said, let's do it in Abuja. I never said this to her. The reason I said Abuja was very simple. Lagos was the preferred choice. I was born in Lagos. I love Lagos. But understand my problem. When you do a Miss World pageant, this is what people don't understand. You have 100 nations across the world coming to your country. You have over 200 journalists from every country on earth would be in your country, reporting what happens to your country. So you be careful what you expose them to. And I was thinking, let's say, for instance, Miss Nicaragua is in the pageant, hypothetically. She was there anyway. She comes and she says, we're having a show in Lagos. Maybe her boyfriend wants to come to the show, her mom, her dad, her cousin, a guy who works in a company wants to come to the show. These are all poor people. They buy a discounted economy ticket. They land in Lagos. The first thing they do is they call a taxi cab. Please, take me to a hotel. They can't afford to stay at a hotel or Federal Palace Hotel. They'll take a cheap hotel, right? So they get a car at the airport, a cab, get into the hotel, go around the market, hang out. You'll be exposing them to taking pictures. I know for a fact they'll be arrested if they took pictures. Or sometimes if they take a picture of a Nigerian they admire. The guy gets up and slaps them because he doesn't want his picture taken. So you have a problem of taking pictures. Just listen to what I'm saying. Taking pictures in Nigeria seems to be a crime, either by the officials or by the guy you're taking a picture with. It's a serious issue. So that is a government function to educate the people that taking a picture is not a bad thing. Taking a picture is not something negative. They're not trying to run you down by taking a picture. These people come from their countries. They don't want to come to Africa and look at high-rise buildings. They don't want to come to Africa and see what they have in their country. If you're born in America, you live in Vegas, you don't want to come to Africa and see bright lights. You want to see what we have. Okay? So when I made that judgment call to be in Abuja, I thought I was safe. Nobody told me Amina Lawal would be sentenced to death by stoning because she had a child out of wedlock in Katsina, and that dominated the media. So now I had a bigger problem. It wasn't about a taxi driver kidnapping Nicaragua's cousin. Now I have an international crisis. And then if you all know who Mick Jagger is, Mick Jagger is Rolling Stone, his wife now is looking for fame. She starts writing for British tabloid newspapers. All of a sudden she starts attacking Nigeria non-stop. Attack. Then activist groups started running down my country. In one of the reports, Julia Morley called me one day and said there was a story that in northern Nigeria, they were going to amputate the hands of 12 10-year-olds. I went to see Adamu Shiroma, Minister of Finance. He was my professor in Islam. I said I need a crash course in Sharia. So I went to see him in the office, and 2-3 times a day he'd send for me and I'd go see him because I was working for Obasanjo at the time, and I said, look, this is beyond me. This is serious talk. And he explained to me about Sharia, explained to me about Islam. So I called Julia Morley. I said, no matter what the worst things of anyone's religion, do you really believe a Muslim would allow his children to have their arms amputated? Do you really, truly believe that? But it wasn't for Julia Morley to believe it. It's for the Western hypocritical press who did not want Nigeria to host a beauty pageant. Why would Nigeria host the Miss World pageant? If it was held in England, if it was held in Russia, if it was held in some Western country, that is fine. But once a black man hosts a pageant reserved for white people, you have committed a crime before you commit the crime. So we were responding to real problems, and we were responding to situations that made no sense. But regardless of what I was responding to, we were in perpetual trouble. Perpetually, it got worse and worse and worse. Like Muhammad Ali would say, it got worse. And I got to a point where the publicity about Nigeria was so negative, so bad. She called me one day and she said, look, I can't go on anymore. We got 2 Russian jets in Heathrow Airport, one of those Russian cargo planes, bringing the stage for the pageant. She said, they're at the airport, and because of the problems in Nigeria, they've asked me for war insurance. And I said, Nigeria is not at war. So I have no idea which insurance company I'm going to go to get war insurance so you can bring the stage for this event. And without a war insurance, the plane wouldn't take off. So she said, look, we have to cancel the show. But beyond canceling the show, we lost money, reputation, credibility. All of a sudden, here I was, trying to do something positive for my country, believing in my country, spending millions and millions of dollars. You don't do a Miss World pageant with 10 naira. You spend millions of dollars putting that show together. What did I get in return? Negative publicity by the West. What was worse for me was when they were leaving. There was a British journalist, editor of one British newspaper. He came to me and he said, Mr. Bruce, I need a favor from you. He said, since the girls were leaving tonight, chartered flight, can I catch a ride? I thought I'd be here for 2 weeks. I said, sure. What do I got to do? We got an empty plane anyway. We had a 747 and it was about 150 women. Yeah, you can have a flight. So he got on the plane. As the plane left Nigeria airspace, he said, Miss England, come here, let's take a picture with a champagne glass. So they took a picture, clicked the glass. Front page, British paper the next day, how he saved Miss England from terrorist attack in Nigeria. That was the headline. So I went to London and I was interviewed in one of the radio stations. So I called him a bald-headed white man and I said, I wish he was here in front of me so I could have a debate with him. What then happens is, you have people with a premonition that you are a barbaric nation and nothing good should happen in your country. What is worse and worse is if you perpetuate it. If they have this impression about you, then we, the government, should do everything possible during the fall. 1, educate people through the National Orientation Agency. Taking a picture is not a crime. 2, when somebody lands in the territory, we must be courteous and have taxi drivers that take you to your destination and try to rip you off. You have meters and so on and so forth. We have to have hotels with good service. Hotels with good service so people feel comfortable in these environments. Taxi services. And something else nobody talks about. One day I was at, I don't know if you remember Soul Train. Anybody remember Soul Train? Yeah, well, Don Cornelius, a good friend of mine, he's dead now, he owns Soul Train. So I met one of the Soul Train dancers, so I brought her to Lagos. And she said she would like to see the Olumọ in Abeokuta. I said, fantastic. So I got my driver. Because in those days it was safe. I said, take her to Abeokuta so she could see Olumọ. And she was so excited. Halfway through the journey, she told the driver, oh, I have to use the bathroom. The driver said, okay, when we get to Olumọ, I'm sure we'll find a bathroom. He said, no, I got to use the bathroom right now. So she said, okay, where are the public toilets? No public toilets, right? Traffic. So she gets out of the car. Now she has to go into the bushes, right? So she goes into the bushes. Now, the people driving across see a beautiful African-American woman going into the bushes. They all try to stop to see if she needed help. And she's telling them, please keep moving, I have an emergency. It's funny, right? But it's real. So, it's real. So what you have is a nation with no public toilets. No public toilets. You can't have that. You can't promote tourism and you don't have one public toilet. One. And the whole nation. We have infrastructure. The reason why I left my protest to be here is because I want you to understand. We could spend the whole day reading out statistics, why Kenya is successful, why Ghana is successful, why South Africa is successful, why London is successful. But if you don't address the fundamentals, If you don't address the fundamentals, no tourist will come to your country. No domestic tourist will leave one city and go to another and not sure that somebody's not going to shoot into his bus. Somebody's going from Abuja to Kaduna, the other 80 something of them got shot and killed on the way. Somebody just randomly comes out with AK-47 and take you out. We need to solve the security problem. This is a national problem. We need to solve the problem about bathrooms, public bathrooms. We need to solve problems about taxi cabs. We need to solve problems about our hotels. We have a serious infrastructural problem we have to solve. I am a victim of it not being solved. Whether with Suzette Charles, whether the group that got arrested, whether with Miss World that we tried to have. And don't forget, when things go wrong, I lose money. It's not like when things go wrong, I just go home. I invest in Nigeria. I invest in tourism. I invest in my people. I go out of my way. Look, in the military era, I brought a group. We were driving across the street, and they saw military men with AK-47. How am I going to explain to them that you have military troops on the street with AK-47? It is an unusual sight. It may be usual for you, but when somebody comes into your country, they don't want to see people with AK-47 at night. It frightens people. Look, when you go to Vegas, you even see one policeman. When you go to London, you see a policeman with a gun. When you see guns, you're terrified. You want to be happy. Look, a nation's economy is like a currency. Okay? This currency is a coward. Okay? It's a coward. This currency goes only where there's peace. The currency goes to London, goes to Paris, Los Angeles, goes to Johannesburg. Where there is trouble, the currency runs away. So don't be surprised why you have a devaluation of your currency. Don't be surprised when people don't want to invest in your country. If there's peace in your land, people will come. They will invest. They want to be happy. People don't want to come to your country and be terrified and scared. So we have to fix the problem. So I'm taking my time to identify the problems from my limited experience. I've been doing this since 1980. I've had good times and I've had bad times. One thing that happened in 1984, I was appointed executive director for Black Music Association. And they said it in my bio. And on my board was Quincy Jones and Stevie Wonder. And I was working with Dick Griffey. Dick Griffey was the owner and chairman of Solar Records. Solar Records was the company I used a lot when I was a concert promoter. Shalimar, Lakeside, Whispers, and all those groups. And Snoop Dogg, I think. Snoop Dogg was young then, and this cat, Babyface. They were part of the Solar family. He's dead now. And he asked me to be executive director for Africa to promote black music across the continent. And I accepted. And then one day he invited me to Los Angeles for a meeting. And he said he wants us to do an event in Lagos, similar to what Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson did with We Are the World. We Are the World, right? It was a big hit for Ethiopia. And he said we should do the same. And then we had Nigeria Airways. And I think, who did I see? I think General Vassa. General Vassa, he was my very good friend. He was a poet. So I used to go hang out with General Vassa. So I went to see General Vassa, and we talked about it, and we said, sure, we'll do the event in Lagos. And I still have the brochures at home. So it was called the Black Music Association. To perform at the event with the Jacksons, God, I can't remember the groups of 80. Shadi Adu, we're talking about 1984, who were the biggest acts in 1984. The name skipped my mind right now, but whoever the biggest acts in the world were, because the record companies, Polygram at the time, Sony, Warner Brothers, they were all involved, so they got all the artists to come. So they asked me to put this event together. I said, not a problem. I was so excited. I came here as a young kid, made all the arrangements. Nigeria Airways was going to fly the artists to Nigeria, do a big concert, and they were hoping we could raise $10 million. Two things happened. One, as this was going on, Fela was on trial, and they sent him to prison. They summoned me to Washington. They said, Mr. Bruce, we want to come to Nigeria, but you have just sentenced the most popular musician in the world, in Africa, to 5 years imprisonment. Please, did he kill somebody? What exactly did Fela do? I said, well, you know, Fela was going through Muritala Mohammed Airport, and he had 1,600 pounds in his pocket. That is why he was jailed. They said, you jailed the most famous musician for 1,600 pounds. You put him in prison for 5 years. Then he said to me, if things like this happen again, we're going to cancel the show. You know, we can't go to a country where you jail your most famous citizen. I said, I promise it wouldn't happen again. Who am I to make such a promise? So we got back here. We kept planning the show. Then Stevie Wonder sent a message through the Griffith to me. He said, look, while we're in Nigeria, I would like to see the president, shake hands with him. You know, we're here anyway. I said, no problem. So I wrote a letter. You don't forget, Dodon Barracks was where the government was. So I wrote a letter to Dodon Barracks, and I said, look, Stevie Wonder would like to see the president. Shake hands with him. It'd be nice. When they got the letter, the federal government of Nigeria called an inter-ministerial meeting. True story. Inter-ministerial meeting, and accused me of coup plotting. Luckily for me, a friend of mine was at the meeting. Called me, came home, terrified as usual. I said, what have I done to deserve this? Not long after that, Babangida struck, there was a military coup. Now, you know, in those days, when the military strikes, they cut off all communication for about 3 or 4 days. They were trying to call me. I knew I couldn't reach them, so I waited. After the lines opened up 3 or 4 days later, they called me and said, Mr. Bruce, I want you to know you're a good man, and we wish we could have had the show in Nigeria, but we have to cancel. There's no way we can do a show in a country like this. And they canceled the event. So the event never took place. So the only event on record was Lionel Richie and Stevie Wonder with We Are the World. It could have happened here, but it didn't happen. We have a problem. And I don't want to name names or run down anybody, because that's not the issue. We have a problem as a nation, and we need to fix the problem. And if we don't fix the problem, we can never develop tourism. Tourism is, it's a beautiful word. It's a beautiful word. It's something really nice. When you get out of here, you go to Accra, you're happy. You get into a taxi, you go watch a movie, you go to the hotel, you go to the beach, you go to the areas where they had slaves. We have one in Badagry too, we have one in Bayelsa. How many people go there? But you know, you want to be happy. You want to feel secure. I was at a tourism function the other day, and I told the guy my problem. He said, don't worry. When you come, I'll give you 2 bodyguards, and they'll protect you. I don't want to go to a city with 2 bodyguards protecting me because I want to be happy. I just want to be happy. I don't want to be scared. I don't want to be worried. And then if something happens to you, kid got shot the other day. Took him to the hospital. The doctor says, I'm not going to look at you because without a police report. You've been shot. You need help. How do you ask me for a police report? We make laws at the National Assembly. If anybody is hurt, any doctor, any nurse, any medical institution by law must protect that individual, even if he's an armed robber. It's none of your business. If he was shot, he needs protection. If you committed a crime, you deserve a lawyer to argue your case in court. It is your fundamental right as a citizen. You don't decide who is a good person or a bad person because you're shot. It is wrong. It is illegal. But this young lady died. So if you walk into a country, you want to feel safe. You want to feel safe that if something happens to you, you have medical facility. So if a tourist comes here and he feels that all your leaders go to Europe for treatment, and he has an accident, do you think he's going to be happy? When he sees all your leaders going abroad for treatment, just for a checkup? I'm not talking, most people, most upper class go abroad for a medical checkup. I'm not talking of somebody broke your leg, you have a headache, they get on a plane, they go to London. Okay? You can't do that. And you see, these are the problems. You're either a patriotic Nigerian or you're not. You're either committed to help this country or you're not. And those of you who seek public office and find yourself in a position of power, you must lead by example. You cannot seek public office and be in power and go out there, and the first thing you want is a private jet. The first thing you want is your expensive watch and expensive look and expensive everything. You live like you're a foreigner in your own country. And when you go abroad, you talk to them and say, look, hey, I'd like you to come visit Nigeria. Look at me, I'm rich. I have everything in the world. But you live in London. Your doctor is in London. Your whole life is in London. You visit Nigeria, even as a government official. You cannot do that. And when you promote tourism, you have to reflect who we are. Macron, I was in Paris a week before Macron was here. I went to the parliament and I saw a senator, and we were talking. And he told me he was 17 when he left Togo to go to France. He was 17, but he's a senator in France. And we met, we became very good friends. And we talked about Macron's visit and how he lived in Abuja. And I met friends of Macron when he lived in Abuja, and what a nice kid he was at the time, and now he's president, 39, came to the shrine. So, we are excited when a foreigner, your colonial master, comes to visit you and talk about a great Nigerian that you imprisoned. Now we've got to get it right. If Fela Anikulapo Kuti and the shrine is a tourist destination, then surely our leaders should go there too. If our leaders don't go there, what are we talking about? You cannot promote tourism and be a hypocrite. We are all very hypocritical about what we do. You're either a Nigerian or you're not. You're either black or you're not. And if you want to be a foreigner in your country, then say so. Don't pretend to us. My background was through the civil rights movement in America. When I got to America, the friends I made were people in the struggle. King had just been killed, John F. Kennedy had been killed, and Bobby was killed. And I got there 75, and everybody I met was in the black movement. With Jesse Jackson ran in 84, I was with him, and when Jesse campaigned for the presidency, I listened to him because I wanted to understand how he was going to transform himself from a civil rights leader to the President of the United States of America. And as I watched him and I listened to him, he explained many things to me in private and in public. And I understood that when I came back, I understood that most Nigerians, most leaders of Nigeria are white people and the voters are black people, because that's how they behave. And if you understand the civil rights struggle in America, whites and blacks, and you understand leadership in Africa, whether you're Idi Amin or Sergeant Doe or some of these tyrants we've had as leaders in Africa who say what they want you to do, not what they believe as human beings, then we have a problem. We must cleanse ourselves from these kinds of leadership. Tourism can't work unless you decide this is what you want. If you, as a Nigerian, cannot be a tourist in your own country, who do you want to visit your country? Who do you want to travel from Lagos to Abuja to Port Harcourt to Makurdi, Maiduguri to promote tourism in your country? If somebody cannot go to Oluma Rock and stop and use the bathroom on the side of the street, then how do you want people to get to Oluma Rock unless you go by helicopter? The Ibadan Expressway is always crowded. There's always problems on that road. How are you going to promote? You cannot talk about the destination. Everybody in tourism talks about the destination. They don't tell you how to get there. You realize that we used to have the largest elephant population in Africa. Now there are less than 100 elephants in Nigeria. A lot of people don't know we have elephants. Less than 100 elephants. Now, who kills the elephants? Believe it or not, Boko Haram. How do they fund terrorist activities? They kill the elephants, they take the tusk, they sell it in China, they buy AK-47s and they kill us. So protecting the elephants protects us because you stop funding for a terrorist organization. Being involved in the conservation for elephants made me realize what we have. In Calabar, you have the drill monkey. When I went there with Julia Morley, beautiful monkey, is endangered. You have the mountain gorillas. When I went to Rwanda, I paid $600 to go up the mountain to see the mountain gorillas. But you know, as I was going up the mountain, when I went to the charts, how many people have been up this trail? Germans, 2,000. Americans, 2,500. British, 500. Nigerians, 10, plus me, 11. We either like nature or we don't. We either like tourists or we don't. We either want to be tourists ourselves or we don't. We either love our country or we don't. We either want to be Nigerians by name and British, summertime, or we want to be Africans we're proud of. And I don't want anybody telling me how proud we are to be Nigerians. I'm a Nigerian. And I'm a proud, proud Nigerian. And if you want to be a proud Nigerian, show me. Don't tell me about it. I don't want any leader going on TV telling me, oh, how great Nigeria is, how wonderful we are, and let us pray. Maybe they're not familiar with the concept of prayer. You pray for the food you're about to receive, not the food you ate all by yourself. And that's what we do. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to be here. I'm happy to share my experience with you. And as we move on with this beautiful country of ours, and as we understand the difficulties we face and what we need to do to solve our problems, we must understand that the destination is not the problem. The location of the tourist site is not the issue. Getting there is the problem. Fixing the infrastructure of Nigeria is the problem. And lastly, I look at the federal budget, and trust me, I can eliminate 10% of the budget in 5 minutes. 10%. There is a total waste, total waste in the way we run our ministry and parastatals. Total waste. And the areas that need the budget, they give nothing. Take the National Theatre. I took a lady who ran the Ford Foundation to the National Theatre. I said, can you give us some money to fix it? I'm not in the government. I said, fix the National Theatre. She went with me, went to all the rooms. She looked at the doors at the National Theatre. She said, Mr. Bruce, these doors at the National are works of art created by some of the greatest artists to come out of Africa. Bruce Onogbakweya, Ben Wong. These doors, you must take them out, preserve them, fix it, and put them back gently. You have no idea what the National Theatre is worth. But where it is right now, an abandoned monument sitting on 100 hectares of land, doing nothing, with a spot where crime is committed at the back at night. It used to be my second home. And I cried. Nigerians are very good at building facilities. We don't maintain them. Nigeria 99, we build stadiums across the country, all abandoned. And then we're surprised that Nigeria is not doing well in soccer. I am not giving you a State of the Union address. I am here to talk about tourism. But I want to tell you this. We can fix it. We can fix it quickly. We can fix it now. Nigerian leadership must want to fix it. I can teach you math, 2 + 2 is 4, but I cannot teach you intelligence. I cannot teach you compassion. I cannot teach you how to care, and I cannot teach you how to feel. I can only teach you academic stuff. But if we learn how to care, how to feel, how to understand the world, Nigeria will be a great country. Thank you very much, and God bless you all.